Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday. We're here today. It's Sunday. And today is a Sunday session. What is a Sunday session, you might ask? I'm asking myself the same thing. Sunday session, I think today, is going to be where we don't talk about anything crappy. We talk about nothing that's in the news. Okay, maybe I'll talk about one thing in the news. Trump got taken off stage because somebody was going to kill him. It's not true. It's because the guy had a sign. The guy got his ass kicked. Anyways, moving on. Today, I would like to talk about connecting and meditating. I meditated today, and I had like the most amazing sense of connection, and I did the whole thing that I was talking about with you guys the other day about doing the breathing in 6 and then holding it for 4 and then releasing for 6 and then doing I did that. I did it because I don't want you guys to think I tell you to do stuff and I don't do it, anyways. So I did that, and I had this really good connection. I only did it for like 5 or 10 minutes. It was really, really nice. I did it outside, and it was right after I woke up, and I just had this really healing, loving connection moment, and it felt really good. I think that we should all try that. It's just part of the thing I'm saying. Good morning to everybody, and hello everybody, for everybody who's watching and saying hello today. I didn't have a lot of things to say today about stuff. I figured today could just be like a meetup, it's a hangout, we're hanging out, and maybe we don't get to see each other very much. So instead of me blabbing about some, information, we could just talk about absolutely nothing. Just stuff. We can make it a whole Seinfeld episode on nothing. You see? So as long as we don't actually bring up any actual things, we should be okay. As long as we talk way out here and stuff all the time, then this should last at least 5 minutes. So we can't talk about stuff. We can't but if anybody wants to bring up a topic of conversation, just ooh, that's a cool thing if you don't know about it. MacBook Pro has this cool little thing where you can dial in past your when you're looking up a history, it'll actually pop up a thing and it'll show you all the different pages you went to, and it's very cool, very new thing. That's about it. That's all I've got. Do you have anything to say? You want to maybe down in the comments below? Oh, elections. Ooh, that hurt. Talk about the elections. The elections are screwed. I think a good friend of mine, he said it the best recently. He said the reason that we don't like Trump is because he's obviously misogynistic and crazy and racist and this and the other, and the only reason we don't like Hillary is because we know that she's a liar. So either way, we have to choose between whether we don't like one person or don't like the other one, but we don't get to actually have somebody. And the truth is, if you know anything about how government works, if the Republicans don't like whatever's happening, right, or if the Democrats don't like what's happening, when it comes down to it, when they go into making decisions and stuff like that, they'll just hold it back and they'll stop it from happening, and then therefore, sorry, it's cheese, it's stringy cheese. Therefore, he speaks the truth. But it's true. So they don't really have any power, anyways. And the power all comes from the people who are giving the money to the people who are in his legs. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's yeah. I'll tell you the truth. I wasn't going to make a video today. But then I thought to myself, maybe there's a lot of people who actually want to see this video. And then again, maybe nobody wants to see the video. And I realized something. I'm making the videos for myself. I keep saying that. But I really am. I'm really doing it because I like... someone else said it to me. It's like a release for you. Because you have like all this thoughts in your mind in the morning. And it's just a way for you to just be like... bleh, and get it all out. So that you can actually focus on what you want to do. And I think that's kind of true. Let's see society take care of another level. How he said he will blow ISIS up. And he's right. He's just saying he's on the same level as us, but society takes us. Oh my God. He said he was going to blow up more. More? You got it. Well, yeah, you can't blow up ISIS. That's the thing I don't think people understand, is that you can't blow up a group of people who don't like exist in one spot, that don't have an address to go to. It's an ideology. That's like saying I want to end all Christianity or something, or I want to end all Judaism. You can't end. Sorry, I'm totally eating. Oh, you want to see? This is I don't know if that looks good. This is what is that? Oh, it's potatoes. Potatoes with eggs and stuff. Oh. And some mayonnaise. It's pretty good. Anyways, yeah. You can't. That's what I've been trying to get across like the last couple of days. You can't end ideologies. You can't end religions. Even the ones that were like taken down and destroyed have somewhat sprouted up again. There's people out there that are doing all kinds of things to keep other religions that used to be popular, and they're repopulating those concepts again. So you can't kill an idea. Jesse says, and are moving constantly. Yeah, of course, yeah, and they're growing as well. And they're growing as well, just like Judaism. I mean, the whole idea of the black and white concept with the the boing boings and the Strymel hat that the Jewish people wear, I think is only about 200 years old. It's not that old. And the reason for it, from what I've been told, is that they did this because they truly believed that the world was becoming more and more materialistic, and in doing so, when that happened, that would turn the people into not caring about each other. And so when that happened, if you could come to a time where you wouldn't have to dress like somebody to be better or feel better than they are, or so on and so forth, then you could live within a neighborhood. You could be like socialists, if you will, in your clothing, and so that all of the clothing is the same, and so that way nobody can feel different, yet you can be different by being the person that you want to be, but your clothes are just your clothes. It's just what God says to wear, so that's why you wear it. But in reality, it was because that's what the rabbis said to wear, and the rabbis changed the laws. Now, it does say in the Bible or in the Torah somewhere that you're supposed to follow along whatever the rabbis say. So maybe they knew what they were talking about, and they were so connected that God actually told them, and they don't want to say that there's prophecy, so I don't know. There's a lot of there. The point is, going all over that, is that you get emotionally tied down to what people have told you is your truth, right? So like the whole idea once again about like I said this the other day, but I didn't get to choose my name. I didn't get to choose my religion. I didn't get to choose any of those factors of who I am, and those things actually help me become me. So knowing that, I have to be compassionate and loving enough to the lies that other people have been told in their lives, because my truth makes me think that I'm right. Like, I have God in my life. I'm right. It's my God, my truth. And if you come in with your God, I get all mad at you. You know what doesn't get me is how revolution came along. Well, it's very simple. It's how revolution's about to happen right now, Jesse. I'm sorry to scare you or freak you out. I think it's the same thing as if you take on what just happened right now at the Trump rally, it'll give you a really good idea of how easily things will snap in the United States. And it goes like this. There was I don't know if you know the story, but if you watched the story just recently, last night or 6 hours ago in the news, Trump was taken out of a rally last night because a man who went there, who was voting against Republicans, he voted for Hillary Clinton, but he's a Republican, but he's voting against Republicans because he doesn't want Trump to win. He was pulling out a sign. A sign, Jesse, a sign, okay? And he got thrown to the ground and beaten up. And on top of that, somebody else who was in the crowd yelled the gun and scared everybody, and that created even more of an issue. So now we're talking about the guy who went there to go use his First Amendment right. Mind you, he's doing it in the wrong location. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be going to a rally party for Trump to use his First Amendment right to speak he should do it outside. He should do it like a good citizen of the United States, unless you're trying to provoke a problem, which is what ended up happening. But that's not what we're getting at. What we're getting at here is the force and manner and the mob mentality that goes into when the guy was pulling out his sign, that all of a sudden he's a threat and he's going to hurt and he's going to kill Trump, and let's beat him up, let's kick him in the face, and let's beat his ass, when all he had was a sign. There was no gun found. He was not there to cause problems in that manner. But so what I'm saying to you, Jesse, since you and I are the ones having the conversation today, what I'm saying to you here is look at the quickness of how people went so crazy. And so now play into terms the whole entire thing. What happens if Trump doesn't become president, and then he pulls this whole, you see, it's a rigged election. Oh, look at the Clintons, they've held me back from being a president. Now you have all these people who have this mob mentality, who are ready to go crazy and ready to go right after anybody. And those are the same ones who like the NRA and who want people to not be able to have abortions. And I don't know, man. That's a little bit much for me. Like I'm a pro-lifer, I guess. A pro-life, pro-choice. I mean, I'm not gonna force a woman. I'm not gonna tell anybody what to do with their body. You're not gonna tell me what to do with mine. I don't care how far I take it. I'm not gonna let you tell me what I can do with me, as long as I'm a consenting adult that has a psychological mind that seems to know what it's doing and have rights and wrongs within my head, and I so choose to go. You're not going to tell me what to do with myself. No, really? I mean, even the founding fathers of our country talked about how, when the government gets so involved, you will no longer have any control over your life. And that's the truth. To be honest, America just makes me mad completely, like how we have things and take it for granted of things, and just America is just so messed up right now. Like, because my guess... because we're the last, hold on, Seymour. Oh, wow, man, you wrote. We are the last, whoa, wow, whoa, Jesse, you went crazy here, buddy. Because we're the last country ever founded. We think that we have everything else that everyone wants, and we don't. People just get on my nerves about America, like America's supposed to be free. We're supposed to have freedom of speech, supposed to have disrespect, have that. but we don't. We have choices, and that's what makes us as choices. But some people like to have bachelors and I get punished for it, and then blamed for us having bad choices. But you're like, that was your choice, and not ours. I think what you're trying to say is that just because one person makes a mistake, it doesn't make everybody else, at fault for that mistake. I think that's what you're getting at, Jesse, something to that effect. But yeah, I mean, this country was built on it was built on racism, though, Jesse. I mean, look, like I've said this before. Look at the founding fathers. They're like, they say we the people, but at the same time they had slaves, and they were raping their slaves and forcing them to have sex with them. So I mean, and these are the founding fathers, the ones that we call back to. They're like, wait, they're such great guys. Like, at the same time, were they really that great? You know what I'm saying? So, when it comes down to it, I want to going back to the point I was trying to make. If Trump does become president, then you have this mob mentality where it's much different, where it's like you're put in line. It's like being in high school. It's like kind of that mentality where like the jocks are the good guys, and like it turns it into like a very I don't know the right word, maybe, but it's not a democratized version of things. It's very oligarchical. It's very and it's that mentality that I think that I'm scared of, because that mob mentality can change and flip so quickly, especially when riled up through anger and not given much platform. Either way, we are screwed. Yes, I agree, Jesse, unfortunately. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be like weird or anything like that, man, but I think right now we're at a very hardcore crossroad in human history of what we're doing with ourselves. And it's not anybody else. And I wrote about this like 2 days ago. Like, it's not the rich people. We can't blame them. We have to blame ourselves in the end. We're the ones that are the stewards of the planet. We're the ones that are taking a paycheck to suck oil out of the ground, or to take oil or coal and burn it. We're the ones doing that. We're making those choices. And we're doing it based on what the rich people are selling us, the ideas and the conceptual thoughts that we need to accept so that we can survive. And if we don't, all we do is fear the rich. We fear their power. We fear being deleted. And we fear not being able to have this kind of communication even. We accept being able to talk to each other through a phone, rather than having real conversations. Like, when real conversations happen, most people are like on their phones and they're texting, and it's a different world we live in than I remember when I grew up. But that's not, that's why I asked yesterday, is there an us? Is there really an us? Is there really you and I connected? And so, and I say there is, because we have this little thing that we're doing right now, this conversation that you brought up, Jesse, that, today was just for me. I was going to do a Sunday, hi, how you doing? I'd like to see you guys. I want to hang out, and I want to hear you say something today and say hello to me. And Jesse asked about politics, and that turned into this conversation about life, because that's kind of how it always turns out with me. But, I don't think we're screwed. I think we're screwed if we think we're screwed, Jesse. Family is no longer family because of our technology, but yet we'll try to make technology our family. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the new overwhelming concept. I mean, like, if you ever really get deep into the Matrix movies, there's a whole series of cartoon movies that came out that was called Animatrix, and you should watch it. I think it was made by 7 or 10 different directors, and they all tell different stories, and they're all kind of misplaced and out of time, but you can actually, if you watch them, you can place them in time in order. and you can see where the whole story lies and what they're trying to tell is. It's called the five war theory, and I've written about it on my blog and stuff. But basically, the 5 war theory is that we're going to go through 5 wars over the next 250 years, because there's a major war within human history every 50 years or so. So, and we're missing that. We haven't had one in, I think, 20 or 30 plus years. We were supposed to have supposedly another war, like a big war, like a war. But anyways. Instead, what we've been doing is just trying to appease that monster by just having little wars everywhere, which is causing more problems, of course. Anyways, so the 5 war theory is the First World War is an ideological war based on religion, based on the Islamic religion and the Jewish religion, which then comes in the next little bit of time. You should check it out. But not. It's just it's Animatrix, like ANI, like animation matrix. But yeah, check it out. It's just one movie, not the cartoon. Try just the movie. It's only like 6 parts. Anyways, so the second part of the 5 war theory is this idea of us fighting against ourselves again, but this time fighting against ourselves with the attachment of technology into our bodies. And as you can see, we've already started doing that pretty much a lot in our lives. As of recently, we've been doing this thing where we're attaching different forms of with different parts of our body, right? So we're doing different things, like different attachments of body parts and so on and so forth, so that we get used to the idea of then being attached in the mind and having neural synapses that help fire faster, or maybe you can become smarter by just attaching like a new thing in your brain, and then all of a sudden you go from regular Paul Carpenter to super genius Paul Carpenter, and all you have to do is just plug in a new, microchip that makes you think faster. And so that's the next fight, is when you have the people who are in one camp who are like, no, we want to stay human and we want to stay real and we want to stay God created us. And then there's the camp who's going to be that's like, we have to go forward with humanity and push forward technology and blah blah. And so that's the war after the religious war, and then so that's the second war, and then the third war is when we fight against the robots, because the robots are going to start to overtake the human race. And then the fourth war is when now the robots come and fight against the human beings and finally try and wipe us out completely. And then the fifth war is when the cyborg human beings fight against the robots, and that is the ultimate fight. Who wins? Does the cyborg beat the super smart robot? Ultimate question, I guess, that we have to ask ourselves is really, does humanity last? And there's a really good movie that came out nobody saw, which had Antonio Banderas in it, and it was about the future, and he's like an insurance adjuster for this futuristic robotic company. And there's one scene in the movie, I've talked about this before, but there's one scene in the movie where he's looking out over the edge of like a Grand Canyon kind of thing, and the robot's sitting next to him, and he says, what is it that he goes, Antonio Banderas says to the robot, I'm scared. And the robot says, I think I understand what you mean by being afraid. And Antonio Banderas turns and looks at the robot and goes, what do you mean, how could you tell? I didn't know what this means or what it feels like. He goes, because we come from you. And just like the pioneers before that crossed over, the oceans, or that transferred themselves from one place to another in this world, so do we, the robots, now move into the future without the human race, and all we have is a memory of what you were, and you are like our parents, and so we now move into the future almost unknowingly and on some level afraid, because we don't know what comes next, because every step of the way prior to this we knew what was going on because it was based on you. But now that your race is Terminator movies, yeah, it's sort of kind of, yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic conceptual idea of what's going to happen through us growing closer to technology. Another person that talks a lot about this is the person that that wrote the movie V for Vendetta, Alan Moore. He's a comic book writer, and there's a really good documentary where it's just him talking into a camera for like 2 hours, and I think it's called Inside the Mind of Alan Moore. And he talks about this thing that we're reaching to, which is called singularity. And so a lot of people have mixed the conceptual idea that singularity is also the moment that when God comes back when God comes to Earth, and we have like this moment of perfection, if you will. And what they're trying to get at is that in the end, we realize that we are light. So they say, this is the theory here, okay, that we started off when we were monkey ape men and we didn't really have much information, and when we felt fire or saw fire for the first time, created fire for the first time, we were using fire as a way to connect to our source. Okay? Source. Okay? And so technology, every step of the way, has been a way for us to get to another plateau, to reach to another piece of source. And so what we're trying to do with ourselves now is take ourselves down to the smallest level possible so that we can become one with source. And the only way that we can become one with source is if we can make our brain and our thoughts turn into light. And if we can turn ourselves into technology, i.e. we can put ourselves into a computer, we can speed ourselves up to a certain point where we're at least traveling through fiber optic layers, and we are now moving and traveling closer to the speed of, or the fire of, light. And so that's the ultimate goal. And so that's what we're doing using technology. And so this is how you can come up with the idea of what would happen in the future, how we could turn into Borg, how we could easily turn into this hive mentality. And there is like some weird stuff out there where if you study it, there's a guy who's a hypnotherapist who's out of California, who instead of doing past life regressions, he does like future life, I guess, advancements. I don't know what you would call them. But basically, he does it, and he says that in a 350-year period from the point that we're at now, everybody turns into, like, robotic, weird people. They are like, and they're like, they're doing, like, this weird thing with their hands, like they're typing, or, like, they're somehow interconnecting, but they all talk like they're kind of like hive. It's a hive. So who knows what's happening in the future. I think, once again, to go back to the whole thing is, in the end, do we keep the thing that makes us who and what we really are? And that thing is the humanity. That is the real connection to the soul, source, white light connection. And that's really, if we don't have that, the minute we really, disconnect from that, then it would be over. And Sakis comes in and says, I wish I had a time machine to change the world. And then my answer to you would be, although I believe that would be a beautiful thing, in the end, I think you would be going back in time constantly to fix the problems that you created from the problems you were trying to fix. There's a really good movie about that. There's a guy, he made a movie all by himself for $25,000. It became a Cannes best film of the year. It's called... Primer, Primer. If you haven't seen it, it's a really good film. You can find it online, pretty much for free. The name of the film is called Primer. Really, really good film that shows how when you start time traveling, you have to constantly fix the problems that you've created in the future. And then because you're always trying to keep up with the lie, because your first, whatever you're living now is a lie. And so anytime that you're trying to, Back to the Future tried to explain that as much as possible, but their theory was really kind of a little messed up. And the idea of the trilogy was that in the end, that the small actions in life really do create these larger overall stories and overarching characters in your life, and depending on whether you deal with those emotions and thoughts or not, you end up repeating the same. When he says you're a chicken, that's this overarching story the whole entire time, and then finally in the last film he realizes not to do that, and that's when he goes backwards in the truck, and instead of going forwards, and then that guy gets into an accident, and he looks at his girlfriend, they're like, oh, it's going to be a better future. Why? Because he was able to, in the last part of the whole trilogy, he realized that one thing, that trigger of him being called the chicken, was the thing that was stopping him from being able to grow as a human being, and not being able, and it all comes down to, in the end, is not having the right intellectual, emotional support in your life, and you overextend in some place based on not knowing how to deal with it correctly. That's what ends up happening, and then so that ends up creating a fight, or ends up creating something else. So wow, that was really intense. We went all the way from politics to talking about ourselves. Wow. But in the end, like I was trying to get at, it's really connecting to who you are and how you love yourself, and that's why I was doing some meditation today. I was trying to connect and say some good, loving things to myself, and ask for guidance and love from the connecting, beautiful, loving light that is all around me, and that makes up all of us. And so with that, my friends, I say this: today is a beautiful day. So please go out into the world if you can, and find somebody that you can do something for. Give somebody a hug, or carry somebody's bags, or just do whatever you can. Open the door for somebody. If you can't do anything for anybody else because you're scared, you don't want to go outside, and you have agoraphobia or whatever it is, then do something really good for yourself. Go out there and I don't know, give yourself a nice shower, or talk to yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. I love you. Oh, okay, wait, somebody came in. I'm glad we didn't know much about this in high school. Acid days, holy fuck, could you imagine what we would have done? I think we would have changed the world. I think we should all know this stuff as early as possible, so that when we get up to the age that we're at now, we won't look back and go, I wish I could have. Instead, give the opportunity to the children who have the audacity to believe in themselves to do it today. Because we, obviously, or at least our parents, really fucked up. And we need to fix this problem quickly. And that is not the problem of fixing everybody else, but that is the problem of fixing ourselves first, and loving ourselves first. And I think the first step is really just saying, I love you, and saying, I care about you, and saying, thank you. I have compassion for the lies that you've been told. And I have compassion for the lies that I've been told and that have been sold to me. And with that, my friends, have a beautiful Sunday. Go out into the world. Tell people how much you care about them. We don't have a lot of time on this life. We don't. It's very short. So go out there. Thank you for spending some time with me today. It was very nice with you. I really appreciate it. If you can, please like, share, subscribe the video. Tell people that I do this. I'm doing it every day. I'm trying to really get a voice out there and trying to let people know that there is somebody who cares about you, and somebody who wants your betterment, and somebody who's also definitely working on themselves every day. So I hope you have a great day. Have a beautiful Sunday. Say hello to your mom and dad, or your family, or whoever you have in your life. And if you don't have anybody in your life, say hello to yourself. Be good. Bye-bye.